Hey everybody, it's April, and today I want to talk about how long do you really need to hold your plank. And there are lots of different opinions on that, but I'm going to give you mine. So I'm going to start on hands today and then switch around a little bit, and I'll tell you my thoughts as we're planking. So if you're starting on hands, you're starting in table. Pull your shoulders down your back, then lift your upper back, lift your chest, pull in your belly, come up on your toes, shift your weight forward slightly. The timer has begun. And then once you're in your plank, do everything again. So we're pressing into the floor, broadening your upper back, pulling in your belly, tighten up your glutes, press your heels back. Think length is what you're thinking about in your spine. And that's one of the things that comes into play when as plank helps with your posture, is that lengthening of your spine. And of course, working on pulling in your belly. We're at 30 seconds, by the way. Tightening up your core, that also helps with your posture. If your abs are not strong, your lower back is weak, that's going to all play into your posture. You know what? That needs to be a topic one day, doesn't it? So my friend Leslie kindly sent me an article about how long you should be planking. And by the way, I love it when people send me articles and information about planking or handstands, memes, any of that stuff. It's all fun. So, feel free to send me information. Oh, we're at 1 minute. I guess I'll stay on my hands. Anyway, but one of the things it was talking about was that if you can do a 1 minute plank, that's really good. And it is. I do 5 minutes just because I was looking for a challenge during COVID and I worked my way up to it, and I was able to, after working on it for several weeks, and it's okay for my body. It may not be for yours. We're at 1:30, and that's all right. The main thing, the most important thing, is that you're holding your plank correctly. So everything's lined up, you're engaged, you're not letting your hips drop, which in my video I did a couple weeks ago was about the 5 most common mistakes of plank. So you want to make sure you're not making any of those mistakes, and you're not letting your shoulder blades come together, any of that stuff. So coming up on 2 minutes, I'm going to switch to my forearms. Remember, when you switch, it's real easy to kind of lose your form. So like right now, my hips are dropping. So I'm pressing into the floor, pulling in my belly, keeping that length, making sure my hips aren't popping up either, because actually that makes it easier. It's not so much that you're going to hurt yourself, but you're losing some of the effectiveness of the plank. You're not staying energized. We are already at 2:30. So the main thing, after you have your good form and you're actively holding your plank, is to just try and increase your time a little bit. So if you start off and you can hold for 10 or 15 seconds, that's good. But then try to work up. I would make a minute my goal, honestly. A minute, maybe you decide to work up to 2, maybe you don't, that's okay. But then the main thing is to be consistent. We're at 3 minutes. I'm going to do side plank on my forearms. So lift, if you do side plank, stacking your feet, or maybe you bring your top foot in front of you, staying lifted out of your hips, out of that bottom shoulder, reaching your top arm to the sky. So you're really working your obliques. So you're working on this side body when you're doing your side plank. Think about that. So really lifting your hips is going to engage even more and give you more benefit from that side plank. Oh, 3:32, I'm going to switch. So remember, every time you switch, you want to do it mindfully, so you're not sloppy, but you don't want to take so much time that you lose the plank, that you're not holding anymore. You're just moving around. So again, the other thing would be to be consistent about it. So if you work up to a minute, and we're at 4 right now, if you work up to a minute, then keep doing it. And then it's going to seem a lot easier. I guarantee it will. When you are consistent about your planking and you do it regularly, then you'll get to where a minute doesn't seem that hard. Maybe even 2 minutes doesn't seem that hard. But everybody's different, and you're still going to get the benefit of plank by planking for a minute. You really will. And again, especially if you're consistent, because you're still engaging your core, you're engaging your shoulders, your legs are working. Everything is working when you're planking if you're doing it correctly. So don't get too bogged down. If you decide, I've had people, send me messages saying, I just can't get past 2 minutes, or I just can't get past 2.5 minutes. That's okay. That's what works for your body. We're at 5 minutes, by the way. I'm going to hold a few seconds longer. And that's all right. It doesn't mean that you're not getting the benefit from the plank if you can only hold it for a minute. And I don't even mean only. A minute is a long time. And it's more than most people are doing. Most people are not holding planks for even 10 seconds. So you're doing a great thing. And you're doing a great thing for your body, for your fitness, and for your confidence. And it's just all good. So keep planking. Don't get stuck on how long you're holding. See ya.